There is a woman named Margaret. Margaret is 61 years old. She has owned 7 cars in her adult life. Every single one has been a Ford. Her first Ford was a 1984 Fiesta, bought second-hand, ran it into the ground. Then a Sierra, then an Escort, then a Focus. 3 Focuses, actually, and now a Kuga. She has never sat in a BMW showroom. She has never test-driven a Toyota. She has never entertained, even for a moment, the possibility that she might go a different direction. When her son-in-law suggested last year that she might consider a Volkswagen, Margaret looked at him the way you look at someone who has just suggested something mildly unreasonable, and said, "I'm a Ford person." That is 3 words, and it contains an entire psychology. Brand loyalty sounds like a marketing metric, but at the human level, in the bones of the people who live it, it is something far more fundamental. It is the psychology of identity, belonging, inherited trust, and the quiet terror of a world with too many choices. Social psychologists have long studied the relationship between brand affiliation and self-concept. Their consistent finding: we do not simply buy brands, we become them. This is particularly acute in the automotive world, because a car is not a discrete purchase. It is a daily, visible, social signal. It sits in your driveway. It parks outside your workplace. It is seen by everyone who knows you, which means the choice of car brand is never a purely rational economic decision. It is a statement of identity. I am someone who drives a Ford, or a Toyota, or a Land Rover. The brand becomes a shorthand to others, and more importantly, to the self, for a cluster of values, aesthetics, and self-perceptions: practical, reliable, unpretentious, British, working class and proud of it. Or German engineering, precision, professionalism. Margaret does not think of herself as loyal to a product. She thinks of herself as loyal to a version of herself that the product represents. There is a specific and under-examined origin story for many lifetime brand loyalists. It begins not with their own experience of the brand, but with someone else's. Research on consumer behavior has found that brand socialization, the transmission of brand preference from parent to child, is one of the most powerful predictors of adult purchasing behavior. More powerful than advertising. More powerful than price. More powerful, often, than the consumer's own experience of competing products. Robert is 53. He has driven Toyota his entire adult life. But the real origin of that loyalty is his father, who drove a 1978 Corolla that never once led them down on a single long journey from Birmingham to Scotland every summer for 8 years. Robert did not decide to be a Toyota person. He inherited it. The way you inherit a religion, or a politics, or a way of holding a knife and fork. It is not chosen. It is absorbed. And what is absorbed in childhood, in the context of safety, love, and family ritual, does not dislodge easily in adulthood. Once a strong brand identity is established, whether through personal experience or inherited loyalty, a fascinating psychological process takes over. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance reduction. When we are deeply committed to a belief or a choice, new information that challenges that commitment does not get processed neutrally. It gets managed. The mind, extraordinarily skilled at protecting its existing positions, will reframe negative information about the preferred brand, minimize positive information about competitors, selectively notice and remember evidence that confirms the existing loyalty. This is not stupidity. This is the brain being efficient. Updating every belief every time new data arrives is computationally exhausting. The mind conserves energy by protecting existing positions. Margaret has heard the arguments for other brands. She has been shown the reliability data. She has been told about competitor fuel efficiency, competitor safety ratings, competitor resale values. She has not changed her mind, that not because she cannot, because the mind she has built, the identity she has formed, is not looking to be changed. It is looking to be confirmed. Human beings are tribal animals. This is not a metaphor. It is a neurological reality, rooted in hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, in which group membership was the difference between survival and death. The modern mind has inherited the full machinery of tribal psychology, the need to belong, to signal belonging, and to distinguish oneself from competing tribes, and applies it to entirely contemporary contexts. Car brand loyalty is one of the most striking contemporary expressions of this ancient wiring. The Ford driver who feels a moment of kinship with another Ford in a car park. The Land Rover community that convenes on weekends in matching vehicles. The Toyota Hilux owners who exchange a particular nod on country roads. These are not coincidences of preference. These are tribal signals, recognition rituals, the modern version of something the human nervous system has been doing for millennia. And to abandon your brand is not just to change your car, it is to leave your tribe, to become briefly nobody before you find another group to belong to. For many lifelong loyalists, that cost is simply not worth paying. There is a quieter, more personal reason why some people never leave their brand. It has nothing to do with tribal identity or inherited loyalty. It has to do with the simple, finite nature of human trust. Psychologists studying trust formation have found that genuine trust, the kind that feels safe to rely on, is extraordinarily slow to build and shockingly fast to lose. Where for many lifelong brand loyalists, their chosen brand has done something that is genuinely rare. It has not let them down. The car started every morning. It made every journey. It did not strand them on a motorway at midnight. It did not fail at the moment of greatest vulnerability. And in a world where trust is broken regularly, by people, by institutions, by systems, the brand that has simply, consistently delivered is not something to be casually traded away. Diane is 48. She has driven Volvo since she was 24. She drives Volvo because on a February evening in 2003, on an icy road in Sweden, the safety systems of her Volvo did exactly what they were supposed to do. She was not hurt. She has never considered another brand since. Some loyalties are not preferences. They are debts of gratitude. Then psychologist Barry Schwartz published his landmark work on the paradox of choice in 2004. His central finding: more options do not produce more satisfaction. They produce more anxiety, more second-guessing, more regret. Because with more choices comes the persistent, nagging sense that you may have chosen incorrectly. The consumer market for cars has never been more complex. Electric, hybrid, hydrogen, saloon, SUV, crossover, pickup, sports, German engineering, Japanese reliability, American muscle, Korean value. Price tiers from affordable to obscene. The person who has been loyal to one brand for 30 years does not engage with this labyrinth. They already know where they are going. And psychological research is unambiguous on this. People who have fewer active decisions to make, who have pre-committed to certain choices, report higher levels of satisfaction and lower levels of decision-related stress. Margaret's loyalty is not a limitation of imagination. It is a highly effective cognitive strategy. In a world that demands 1,000 small decisions every day, she has already made this one. For good. We live in a culture that celebrates variety, that equates changing your mind with growth, that treats loyalty as naivety and novelty as sophistication. But the psychology of the lifelong brand loyalist tells a different story, a story about identity that holds across decades, about trust that is earned, not assumed, and about the quiet intelligence of knowing what you value and refusing to be endlessly persuaded away from it. Margaret is not stuck. Margaret is settled. And in a world of relentless churn, of upgrades and updates and better versions of everything, a person who has found their thing and kept it and never looked back is not someone to pity. They are someone to study. Are you a one-brand person? Which brand? And why, really? Not the rational reason, the real one. Leave it below. Because I have a feeling the comments on this video are going to tell us something true about identity, loyalty, and the way we build our lives. If this channel goes somewhere, most automotive content is afraid to go, not into the specs, but into the psychology. Subscribe to Driven Psyche. We go deeper. See you in our next video.